What's good, y'all? BeatGenerals.com back with a brand new tutorial. In this week's tutorial, we're actually going to be doing part 2 of our Weeknd style series. This track just has a very typical kind of Weeknd style sound. It builds from those kind of creepy, slower verses into a very big style hook section. Then we're going to take it into a bridge, and then we're going to take the hook into even a bigger section on the second hook. So kind of reminiscent of typical pop production where things build over time. For this particular bridge, we're going to actually stay in the same key of the song. In an upcoming tutorial, we're actually going to show you guys about changing keys for bridges and stuff. Any of you guys who have already purchased the Music Theory 101, you guys should already kind of be familiar with how to do that, but we've never actually applied it into tutorials. So I'll be doing that as well in an upcoming tutorial. Without further talking, let's go ahead and jump into the next section and get started on the beat. So the very first thing I started with is from Massive. This is from EXO, the Madness Bank, that I've been telling you guys about for a little bit now. It's called the AT Lovecraft Mythos. It's kind of like an atmospherical type sound, which the AT indicates, and this is just something that I used for the intro. So I'm going to go ahead and put our BPM down to 110, just nice and slow. And I'm basically going to record 2 notes. These atmospherical sounds, they're going to change as you hold the note, so you don't really have to do too much. This is going to kind of give us that creepy little intro that I'm looking for. So let's go ahead and lay that down. So basically like that. I'm just going to hold 2 notes, F sharp in the 4th octave and an F sharp on the 5th octave. Just go ahead and extend this out and just let it play. And as you kind of listen to it, you'll hear it kind of change and morph, and it just has a cool sound to it that kind of had a creepy sound. I personally like going from something kind of creepy to something kind of more delicate and smooth, or the opposite way around. It's just something that's very popular. You hear all your favorite artists from Kanye West, Travis Scott, and all these people do that. And in my opinion, just a cool thing to listen to. I think it's always kind of cool if you start with something and just change it into something completely different somebody might not expect. So that was kind of the thinking behind this. But here's what it sounds like. This is basically what everything started off as, and what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and assign it for your mixer track. In this case, it already is, but we're going to just drop a parametric EQ on here and just cut a little bit of that low end, since we're going to be adding a little bass line in the intro. So just slightly cut it, nothing too crazy. And there's a couple other choices in here that you could have used that have these kind of drones and whatever. There's a lot of cool sounds here, but that's the one I ended up using just for the intros. I'll jump in the next section and continue. So the next thing we're going to do is just add a very simple little bass sound to this. We're basically going to be holding 1 note, and I'm using the BA Pop Bass 2. There's a ton of different bass sounds in here, so kind of just choose what you want, but this one has a nice natural kind of sounding tone to it, so this is what I'm using. So this is going to be the intro before it breaks into the first verse, then it's going to go into the hook, then the little bridge section, then into the second even bigger hook. And that bass sound is just a nice way to kind of add a little bit of suspense. These kind of bass sounds you guys will use you guys will see, excuse me, how we apply it in the bridge section. But these little snappy kind of muted type bass sounds are a great way to add suspense to a track, or for little build ups when you're doing pop and stuff. So you guys will see a lot of that during the bridge section. But this is basically all I did for the intro right here. So let's jump to the next section, continue. So the next sound we'll be adding is the PD chilled intro from the same XO the Madness bank. Now keep in mind, this chord progression that we're going to be using in here is the same chord progression that we used from the last tutorial, just kind of applied a little bit differently. One thing that I noticed when talking to some of you guys is that you guys think that every single beat needs to be a new chord progression, you know, and all this stuff. And that's really not the case. If you guys ever have some time, look up the YouTube, the chord progression. There's like a video about chord progressions, like famous chord progressions or maybe popular chord progressions. And this dude shows you all these different hit songs written on the same chord progressions. Like, it's really kind of mind blowing to see how many different songs that sound completely different are written on the same chord progression. So just keep that in mind. You know, using a chord progression that you like or reusing a chord progression that you like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And you can go ahead and do that. Just, you know, switch up your melodies a little bit, maybe switch up the way you apply it, but just in general, if you have a chord progression you like and it's working for you, don't be afraid to use it. So we'll just be laying down these quick little pad sounds for the start of the verse. Just something like that. Oops. Make sure you get that timing right. Tools with legato to make sure everything connects. So just F sharp, A, C sharp, C sharp, E, G sharp, D, F sharp, A, E, G sharp, B. And this is a little progression that you have. And just kind of notice the complexity in this pad, how it builds, how certain things swell and go out and come back in. This is kind of the beauty of this whole bank. It's just that every single pad and every single sound has so much layering and so many dimensions to it that it really is one of my favorite banks right now. So I definitely just wanted to point that out. Our sound designer really just knocked this one out of the park. But yeah, so this is what I started off with. Let's jump to the next section and continue.